Thank you for tuning in to the BizNation podcast. My name is Kerry and I've been helping business owners just like you go from headache to heaven in a heartbeat for over 20 years. I'll be giving you all the top advice for getting started in your business, but I'll also be speaking with some of the best business minds to inspire you with valuable insights to help you get ahead in your business. If you've ever hit a roadblock or lost your passion, then this is the podcast for you. Welcome back to the BizNation podcast. If this is your first time listening, a super welcome to you. I am your host, Kerry Zarb, and on this podcast, we chat to business owners and entrepreneurs that are going to share something super cool with you about their business journey. Today's guest is the amazing Sid Meadows, who is the founder and principal of Embark CCT. Sid is a business strategist and a high-performance coach to help entrepreneurs and business owners on their journey to success. Welcome to the show, Sid.
Hey, Kerry. I'm so glad to be here with you. Thanks for having me.
I am so excited to chat with you today, Sid, because we have so many cool things to talk about. Because from what I understand, you've been on the journey like many others, moving from the corporate space into your own business. And if it's okay with you, Sid, I'd love to unpack that together to share with the audience today.
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. Sid, I wanted to kick off with, I want you to tell us who you are now and what you do. Would you mind sharing that?
Oh, absolutely. So, again, thanks for having me here. I'm Sid Meadows, and I'm a high performance coach and a business strategist. And really, what I do is work with business owners and business leaders in helping them craft their journey towards success. And what I mean by that is everyone's definition of success is different. And so my job as a strategist and a coach is to help them along their journey to meet them where they are in order to help them get to where they want to go. And sometimes we do that through strategy about where's your business and what's happening with your business. Sometimes we do that with coaching, both individual and group. It really depends on what the client needs, but it starts with an understanding of where do they really want to go.
Awesome. Good explanation, Sid. I appreciate that so much. That's fantastic. And Sid, so that gives us the who and the what, but what does this look like day to day for you right now? What does a typical day look like for you when you're working with your clients? I'm super curious.
Can we just say crazy? Because
Yeah.
it's a crazy day. No, it's a total crazy day. And what I love about what I'm doing today is every day is different.
Mm-hmm.
One day I might work with client A, but then not work with them again for 2 weeks. And
Mm-hmm.
then the next day I might work with client B and C. And so it's really completely different. Every day is different. In fact, this is one of the first things I do every morning is look at my calendar to actually see who's on my schedule and what's on my schedule so I can kind of mentally prepare for the day. There's absolutely never a dull moment. But I will
Oh,
say, one of the things that I really had to learn to do and be very strategic about doing was putting time on my calendar to work on projects and to work on tasks. So if I have a client that needed a report, or maybe they wanted me to do some research, or maybe I'm reviewing videos for them to give them some advice about their education program or whatever they're doing, I block time on my calendar so that I can do that work. So every day is different. And coming from the corporate world, I appreciate that every day is different, still structured, but different.
yeah, for sure. Sid, you operate in a calendar space, obviously, because you're checking your calendar each day. Is it Tetris? Does it look like a hot mess? What kind of system are you using to keep everything kind of in check for yourself?
So it is Tetris. And I use Outlook as the basic platform that I use. I don't use any other thing other than that. And the problem, Carrie, here's the problem. My clients have access to my calendar.
Ooh.
And so, because I send them a scheduling link when they want to schedule something, and I actually have some other stuff that I do where people can schedule time with me and they just grab the link. And so I have to be very protective of my calendar.
Mm,
And when I need to do work, I've got to block it. Like just earlier today, in fact, somebody had reached out to me about having a call with me. And so I replied back with a time, which is something I learned to do
hmm.
is to reply back with a specific date and time rather than "Oh, I'm available Monday from 3 to from 2 to 6 in the evening." I reply back with I'm available. What about Monday at 2 o'clock?
Yeah.
And so when I send that email, I immediately go into my calendar and block it as a hold for John Smith, right?
Hmm.
And then that protects my calendar because I never know if you're one of my clients and you've got a scheduling link, you could come in and grab that spot. And I just sent an email, to somebody else. And I learned that the hard way. So I'm extremely protective with it. And I only use Outlook.
Yeah, I love that, Sid. And I'm an Outlook chick over here. That's what I use. It is Tetris. It's a hot mess, but I do exactly the same. Little hold sections, for half an hour, just to make sure, and always giving yourself a little bit of buffer as well. I think that's important as we schedule.
Mhm.
We're driven by our calendars, and if you operate in this space, you need that buffer zone. You might want to grab a cup of tea, or grab
Mhm.
yourself a drink, or something, or even just step outside for some fresh air before you hop into the next meeting is certainly another great thing to do. So yeah, having that calendar, I live by it. I live
Yeah.
by it. If my calendar died tomorrow, I would be lost completely. I
Oh,
don't know
me
about
too.
you. Yeah.
But Carrie, if you do utilize a calendar scheduling software like Acuity or Calendly, and there's a dozen other ones, it actually gives you the opportunity to block off time before
Mm,
and time after. So I always say block off 15 minutes after the call is over. So what happens is I can't get back to back. I
yep.
can't get a 2 o'clock and a 3 o'clock. I can get a 2 o'clock and a 3:15, but
Hmm.
not a 2 and a 3. So as you said, I do get the opportunity to get up and walk around, stretch my legs, grab some more coffee, whatever I need to do. I get a few minutes to actually take a breath.
Yeah, for sure. And that's really important to utilize those softwares to do that. I use Calendly, and definitely it's either 30 minutes or 15 minutes at the very least between appointments, because, and not to mention, Sid, we've been there, we've done this. They run over time sometimes.
Oh,
Sometimes
always.
you need that extra 5 minutes to, continue that conversation or whatever. So the last thing you want, exactly what you said, you don't want the 2 to 3, the 3 to 4, the 4 to 5. Like, that's just mental. Yeah, not going to
Yeah.
work at all.
We got enough things driving us crazy. We don't need our calendars adding to it, right?
Exactly, exactly. And Sid, I just want to share as well, I take my calendar to another level as well. It's not just about appointments. I use it for my to-do list, because
Oh.
if it's not on the calendar, it's not going to happen. Because
Mhm.
post-it note hell over here. Once Kerry gets started on the post-it notes, like it's all over. It's a mess.
Yep.
So I
And it's
use
a
it.
good point. I do that as well. Like, I do
Mm,
that as well. Not as detailed to that. Like, if I'm working for a client, I'll say, "Work on this project," and I'll block off time. Like, tomorrow, I've blocked off the better part of my day because today I realized that I'm doing a presentation on Wednesday and I haven't even started it. And I had that, "Oh, no, it's not on my calendar." I got it. So I literally blocked off my calendar tomorrow fortunately, there wasn't a lot on it. So I was able to move some things around so I could knock out that. But I'm not as rigid as you are with the to-do list, but if it's on my calendar, in order for me to do it, if it's something quick and easy, I'll just do it. But if I
mm,
need more than a half an hour, it's on my calendar. It's the only way it's going to
yeah.
get done.
Absolutely. And for ourselves as well, we need time, like for your presentation, that's part of your business and something that you want to
Mhm.
accomplish. So to utilize your calendar, I call her Sally Sunshine. So she is like a client, and she actually gets a time slot religiously, like weekly, twice weekly, whatever I can fit in when I'm not, serving clients. And she's called Sally Sunshine. I pretend that she's a client. So, and when I
Oh,
say
that's
she, that's
awesome.
me and my business. And she's called Sally
Right.
Sunshine so that I mentally then get in the zone of I have to do it. It is a
Yep.
commitment to that client,
Mhm.
which is actually my business. And I think that's a pretty
Absolutely.
cool, yeah, cool way of doing
I
it.
love it.
So,
Sally Sunshine. I'm gonna have to figure out a cute name for my I just call it block time. So I'm gonna have to figure out a cute name for my block time. I like that.
yeah, yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool. You're listening to the BizNation podcast. I would love to connect with you outside of the podcast, and you can find me on Clubhouse, Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn by searching my name, Kerry Zarb, or directly on my website at kerryzarb.club. And don't forget, if you need more support in your business, you can find the community on Facebook at BizNation Support Group. So Sid, let's go into something else for a moment. I'm just going to turn this conversation over to, I would love to know, where was Sid 5 years ago?
Kerry, it's a really interesting question. 5 years ago, I was in a place where I was mentally, physically, and emotionally exhausted.
Oh,
I was working in corporate America. I live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I had an amazing job. I'd worked for a really great company for 10 years. I was a senior vice president of sales. I was traveling all over the place, living out of a suitcase, but I had become mentally, physically, and emotionally exhausted. And I knew something was going on, right? I mean, I talk about this quite a bit. I don't hold it back, but I'd wake up in the mornings and look at my phone, and if there was a text message from my boss, my stomach would just like drop. I was sick to even open my email for fear of what would be there. And honestly, the thought of driving to the airport made me literally just want to go in the bathroom and throw up.
oh,
I was just mentally, physically, and emotionally in a place that I knew I had to get out of. I had to get out of that place to save myself, because the thing is, it took me a while to realize what was going on. And it honestly wasn't until after I left that job that I really realized what was going on. But what I knew was that I was not being present for my family. I wasn't being the husband and the dad that I needed to be, because emotionally and mentally, I was in a completely different place, and it wasn't good for me or the people that I love the most.
mm, really good point, Sid. And I guess, to be able to recognize after, like, you knew something was wrong.
Yep.
You felt that. You could obviously,
Mhm.
this fear of the boss calling and not wanting to check the emails, like that's just, red flags going off left, right, and center. Can I ask
Yep.
how long you endured that feeling before you made a move,
Um,
or
a
even
little
thought
over a
about
year.
making? Oh,
A
really?
little over a
Oh,
year. A little
oh,
over a year.
wow. Oh,
So what happened, and again, I love the company that I worked for. I loved the people. They're great people. And it was a great order. And I mean, I really, really enjoyed my job, or I wouldn't have worked there that long, right? And it's not about them, it's about me. And I want to make
mm,
sure that that's very clear. It's nothing to do with them. It had to do with me and my joy and my love for the job, right?
yep, yep.
But I did resign, and then the chairman of the board, the CEO, and my boss at the time convinced me to stay. And so I stayed.
Oh.
And
Oh.
things got better, and I felt better, and I think things were moving along better, and then they took a turn for the worse. And, I remember talking to my wife about it. We were on a rewards trip, and we were down in the Dominican Republic, and I remember talking to my wife about it, that, you know, being around all these people and seeing their faces and having a good time with them and celebrating their success, and me being part of the leadership of the company, I just looked at her and I said, "You see why this is so hard for me? Because
Yeah.
I love these people,
Mhm.
and it's so hard for me." But I came back from that trip, and it just things seemed to really spiral. And I
Mm.
knew that if I didn't save myself, no one else was going to. So that's when I made the decision to actually leave corporate America and go do something on my own.
Well, they tell us a lot, and we all need to listen to this, that we need to put our own mask on first, right? Like, that's what
Yeah.
it comes down to, because, it sounds selfish, and a lot of people struggle with this concept of putting themselves first, but it's not selfish, because at the end of the
Mm-mm.
day, if, like, for you and for your family, to be enduring something so present like that, that
Mhm.
and you can't get past it. Like we can easily turn into snappy toms, be biting
Oh,
people's
yeah.
heads off and just not be happy as a person. And next minute that turns to, this whole mental health space can just
Yeah.
completely go downhill, and we turn into another human,
Mhm.
not the person that we want to be or can be. So,
Yeah.
Sid, that's an amazing story, and thank you for sharing that. But
Oh,
I
it was
do
my
wa-
honor, Carrie. But I do
thank
wanna
you.
say something else.
Yeah.
5 years ago, the conversation about mental health was not anywhere near where the conversation about mental health is today. In fact, 5 years ago, it was a taboo subject. We
Mm-hmm.
did not wanna talk about it.
Yeah.
Today, we talk about it because of the importance of, I think, what's happened with mental health in the workplace with workers and all kinds of other things. It's talked about a lot more, and I'm very grateful for that. Had I understood that 5 years ago, things might look a little bit differently, but, it wasn't talked about then as it is talked about now.
Correct, correct. And I do say it with reflection because I agree with you 100%. You're right. 5 years ago, it was just kind of starting to hit the surface, but you're right. It wasn't
Mhm.
spoken of. We weren't, I guess, allowed to be open and honest
Yeah.
about our feelings, how we felt as humans. And now
Mhm.
it's like almost the highest priority, which is
Yep.
great. It's fantastic. And,
Mhm.
and I think that that's a definite space that's moved quite quickly in the last 5 years to rise to the surface and be so important. So I
Mhm.
appreciate that first and foremost. But Sid, tell us about starting the next chapter. What happened when you quit this? You'd been in this industry for so long and in that
Yep.
position for so long. Man, what
Mhm.
did that look like?
So it wasn't pretty, right? Let's be clear, it wasn't pretty because I made a decision that I would not recommend to a lot of people, to make. And if you do make this decision, I would recommend that you have conversations with your partner, your spouse, or just make sure you know what you're getting into. But my wife knew that I was very unhappy. I knew that I was unhappy, and I don't remember exactly what happened, but one day I was done. And so I picked up the phone. It was Thursday afternoon and called my boss, and basically he answered the phone and I said, "I'm out. I'm done." And I literally jumped off the proverbial cliff, right? I quit my job. I believe he made a decision that I don't agree with. Still to this day, I don't agree with, but he made a decision that the next day would be my last day.
Wow.
And by noon that day, I was gone, which is fine. That's their choice, right? Um, but I didn't have a safety net. I didn't know what I was going to do. I just knew that I had to change the situation that I was in and take control of me and my life and my happiness. I had to make that choice. So I jumped off the cliff, and then I took some time off. I took a couple of months just to really sit back and, heal a little bit, start to
Mm,
feel better, eat better, just start to really take care of myself and then start pondering, hey, what am I going to do? I'd always wanted to be an entrepreneur for some crazy reason. And so I just started really exploring what that looked like. And then I started on this journey of entrepreneurship.
mhm, mhm. And were you scared?
No, I was
No?
terrified. Are you
Oh.
kidding me? I was terrified. Are you kidding me? Walking into the unknown, creating a business from scratch, even though I was in an industry where I was well known and well respected, starting a business from scratch, absolutely, with no product. The product is me. The
Mhm,
product is what's in my brain and my experience because I was like started out as a consulting and a coach, and so they were buying me. So it was really like my reputation, and that's really, really scary, right?
mhm.
And so I started on the journey. I mean, it was fun and it was exciting, and there were great days and there were awful days, but certainly, no, Carrie, I was terrified.
Oh, Sid, I completely relate. I can understand, and such a brave move, But I'm glad you took the time off. I'm glad you had that ability to take the time off. It sounds like you needed to find yourself. You know, a lot of people refer to it that way, that you needed to find Sid. You know, who is
Mhm.
Sid, and who does Sid want to be? You know, how do
Yeah.
you want to turn up? How do you want to help others, and you know, have that impact on the world essentially?
Mhm.
So I'm super super glad that you had the opportunity to take that time, and I have no doubt you were, you know, obviously supported by your family and your loved ones to do that. So that's fantastic in itself.
Mhm.
But when you got clear, Sid, when you had that, I'm not sure if it was a light bulb moment or,
Mhm.
you know, a particular point in time when you went, "Oh, that's it." You stepped in, you took it the next level again. You stepped into some training for yourself.
Yeah.
Is that correct? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll tell you what the moment was
Mm-hmm.
because I think it's really interesting, right? I'm not superstitious, but and coincidences happen. But what happened was 3 people within the same 24-hour period as I was, because what I was calling people and saying, "Hey, I made a change. I'm exploring what I wanna do," just talking to friends and former colleagues and stuff like that, and 3 people within the same 24-hour period told me exactly the same thing, and it was kind of on my list anyway, and I asked each of them why, and when the 3rd one said it to me, he happens to be the CEO of the company that I left.
Oh.
And when he said, "This is what you need to do," I was like, that was it. That was it. I said, we talked about why, and so I started on that journey. I found a company name like the next day. I mean, I just really and I got super excited about it. But then we started. And
Mm.
as anything, we started messy. I wasn't really sure what I was doing. I was looking at following best practices from other people and asking other people to share, like, "Hey, what's your proposal document look like?" And all that kind of stuff that you've never done before as your own entrepreneur in your own business. And then I was coaching. I always knew that coaching was going to be the cornerstone of the company. And so if the Embark stands for I'm embarking on a new journey. Mr. Client, go with me on this journey. And then we provide coaching, consulting, and training.
Mm-hmm.
And so coaching being the first pillar of that, um, I started coaching people. And I realized a couple of months into it that I did not know what I was doing. It felt bad. It felt
Mm-hmm.
wrong. It just didn't feel right. It wasn't congruent. And all of a sudden, I felt like the people that I was coaching, that I was their boss. I'm like, this just doesn't feel good. I need to.
Mm-hmm.
So then I started exploring coach certification programs. And I landed with an organization called IPEC. And I decided to invest in me because if I don't, and your listeners and anybody else there, if you don't invest in yourself, who else will? Right? Especially in your growth and your development. So I invested in myself in becoming a certified professional coach through the IPEC Foundation, which is sponsored by or affiliated with the International Coaching Federation. I walked into the room, Kerry, the first day, live in person. It was a year-long program. I didn't realize how much work it was going to be, but it was a lot of work. I'm very grateful for all that work. But it was once a quarter, every 3 months. We had a in-person meeting for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Oh.
And I walked into this room of 20 other people and discovered me.
Mm-hmm.
Through the course of this year, through the work that I went through to become a coach, started with me discovering me. And it was the beginning of Sid's transformation to where I am today. And I will forever be grateful to my colleagues, my friends, the trainers, and the people at IPEC. And honestly, I'll be forever grateful for me for being able to invest financially what it took to, because I freaked out when I heard the price, right? Like most entrepreneurs, when you hear something expensive, but it was the beginning of the best decisions I've ever made in my career to invest in myself and to begin my transformation.
Mm. Sid, that is just such an awesome story, and oh my god, and courage all the way through. Not just
Yeah.
financial, but you know, like you said, stepping in a room with 20 other people and just being open to what's next, you know, and what you can learn and how you can develop and grow and find yourself is just amazing.
Mhm.
So that's a great story, Sid. Thank you for sharing that.
Well, thank you.
I do want to ask though, Was there ever a time, whether it was during that, course that you undertook or anything else, was there ever a time that you felt you couldn't do what you're doing now, other than that initial kind of
Yeah.
imposter syndrome at the start,
Yeah. So there were a couple of things that happened along the way. So I fell in love with coaching. And so I got the first one, and then I decided, well, I'm gonna go get another one. So right after that, I got another one. In the meantime, I had hired someone to work for me, and things were going great. We were doing business, and there was this client um, that you're doing outreach, introducing yourself, and I think we got referred to this particular client. We're having some conversations, and honestly, Carrie, we spent probably 3 months, over $10,000 US dollars in the pursuit of the client, right? Because it's a lot of
Mhm.
work, time investment, proposals, meetings, all these things. And at that time, I was working in a co working space about 2 miles from my home. Now I'm in my home office. But I was working in this co room space and we'd put this great proposal together. I was really proud of it. I felt really, really good about the opportunity. Excuse me. And then one day, out of the blue, I get an email that says, "Thanks for your time. We've decided not to proceed." My
Mm.
heart sunk because it was a really big consulting opportunity, right?
Yep.
It's something that we felt so good about it. Lesson number one, don't count the chicken before the eggs. Don't yeah, whatever the saying is, you know what I'm talking about, right, Gary?
Yeah.
Don't you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yep.
So, but I felt really good about it. And so when he said emailed him separately and said, "Hey, man, really appreciate you letting us know you're not gonna proceed. We are a young business. We're still working to get better. I would really appreciate some feedback about what would have made the difference for us moving forward." That's courage to ask that question, right?
Yeah.
Well, he ghosted me. He ghosted me. Didn't
Oh.
respond to me. So the next day, I hit rock bottom. I felt I felt like everything was going away. I was asking myself, "Who the hell am I to be doing this? What makes me capable of doing this?" And Carrie, I remember closing the door to my office, turning the lights off, and laying on the floor, asking myself those questions and going into what, for the first time ever, I realized was, on the verge of a very deep depression,
Wow.
right? It's when I felt truly alone, truly desperate. How am I going to support my family? How am I going to be a financial contributor to my I mean, as all these things were going, I just felt miserable. And that lasted about a week,
Ooh.
literally. I would get up, put on a brave face, get dressed, go to the office. I'd work for a few minutes and then it would hit me and I'd do the same thing. And I would turn the lights off and I'd lay on the floor and I would wallow in my own misery.
Mm.
And I was about that time I actually discovered podcasting, I think. And I was listening to a podcast one time while doing this, and the guy, I don't even remember who it was. The guy said something, and I thought to myself, "What the hell are you doing? How is this helping? How is this helping you or anybody or your business? You've checked out of your business for a week. How is this helping?"
Mm.
And so I got up and I realized I have the ability to control this. I have a choice, right? And I came up with two questions to ask myself. Because here's the thing, bad things happen in our business, right?
Yeah.
We don't all have 100% great days. I mean, have you ever had a perfect day every day in a row?
Nope.
Yeah, we just don't. Bad things happen in our business. So, what I realized is I get to choose. So, I have two questions that I ask myself. When something bad happens in our life or in our business, the first thing that we have to do is give ourselves the grace to deal with that issue, whatever it is, the loss of a client not paying you, whatever it is, there's lots of them, right? We
Mhm.
have to give ourselves the grace to deal with it. Well, in doing so, ask yourself the question, how low am I going to go? Because you get the choice to choose how low. I hope that no one will ever go to the level that I went to, laying on the floor with the lights off, because I'm giving myself the grace to deal with it by saying, okay, I'm going to experience it. So, how low am I going to go? And the next question, probably the more important question, is how long am I going to stay there?
Mm,
How long am I gonna let this impact me? And so when bad things happen, I ask myself those 2 questions, and it works. I bounce out of it, come out of it really quickly because I'm giving myself grace to deal with the bad things rather than to glaze over them and not deal with them at all, or to deal with them in a way that's too dramatic.
yeah, yeah. Good point, Sid, and great advice on that as well. Thank you. I think we can all, as business owners, entrepreneurs, anyone that's giving life a go, we all have those moments in time where we need to have a good conversation with ourselves and we need to get real about the situation and make that decision. So, yeah,
Mhm.
I think having gone through it yourself now to be able to share that with others, is just super powerful. So, yeah,
Well,
very,
thank you.
very cool. Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
Sid, let's go to the positive side, and not that that was all negative because it wasn't, because you dealt with it and you've come
Mhm.
out better for it, as we always do. What's the vision of Sid for the next 5 years? What's in the future? Get out your crystal ball. Make a prediction.
You know, um, now is a time in my career, my business, that I've never been more excited about the future. And, the last 18 months, Carrie, for entrepreneurs, especially small business owners like us, has not always been easy. I mean,
Mm,
with all the shutdowns and lockdowns and all the stuff going on in the world, it's created a lot of challenges, but also I believe it created a lot of opportunity and gave us the opportunity to get really clear and to do what I say is make micro pivots. I think it's important to listen to our clients, watch our business, understand where we find a lot of joy and what we find joy doing. And so I discovered that when I started my podcast.
mhm.
And I was like, this has been on my list for like over a year. And I'm like, well, who knew this could be so much fun, right? I mean, it's just like, wow, I love this. Now,
Mm,
it was scary starting it, but yeah, I love it. But then that led me into other things. And so, where I've been able to pivot my business is we no longer do consulting. I wasn't getting joy out of it, right?
mhm,
And we really strongly pivoted to business strategy and coaching. And so, my vision and where I see the next 5 years going is um, a couple of things: 2 podcasts that are both revenue generating because they are a strategic line in my business, right? So,
mhm,
2 podcasts, speaking engagements at least twice a month, and that is coming true. I'm getting more and more speaking engagements, more and more either virtual or in person. I'm really excited about those. And then really focusing in on a small but powerful group of deep relationship committed clients,
mhm.
right? And really zoning in on being the best I can be to help them grow their business. I don't need 100 clients. I
Ah,
don't want
yep.
100 clients. I can't do justice as a solopreneur to 100 clients, but I can do a really good job in serving and helping 10 or 15 clients grow on a regular basis. So, podcasting, speaking, and fulfilling my vision of a limited group of customers that we are impacting each other and helping each other grow. That's my
Mm,
vision.
that's cool. I love it. And right now when we're recording, and this will air in a couple of weeks, by the way, but right now when we're recording, you're planning that second podcast. That's
Yes.
in the works as we speak. This will come out, and then shortly after, your new podcast is going to hit the airwaves. Would you like to share the name of it and what it's going to be?
Okay, so I think I just got put on the spot for a
Mm-hmm.
timetable, but yeah, we'll leave it to my friend Kerry to do that. Yeah, so my second podcast, I appreciate you asking the question, Kerry, very much. So, I'm super passionate about entrepreneurs. I'm one of them. I understand the journey that we walk, and so the second podcast is called the Amazing Entrepreneurs Club, and it is focused on highlighting amazing entrepreneurs, regardless of the size of their business. They could be a solopreneur or they could be $100 million company, right? But the focus is highlighting them and what they've been doing and how they're contributing to their families, their community, to our world in general. And but also focused on sharing their insights of their success
Mm-hmm.
to help aspiring, new or young entrepreneurs along their journey because, and the reason I'm doing it, Kerry, is because I realized um, how difficult this journey is to walk alone.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so my focus is to create a community where other entrepreneurs can continue to support each other so that we don't have this feeling of isolation and loneliness that I'm doing this by myself when in fact we're not doing it by ourselves. There's a community of other people that can all support each other doing it. So I'm really, really excited about the Amazing Entrepreneurs Club coming out really, really soon on any podcast platform, on YouTube, on LinkedIn. It's going to be there for hopefully everybody to get some good value out of it. So thank you for asking and
No,
putting me
you,
on the hot seat for a timetable.
well, I noticed that you kind of avoided the date on that one, but I'll let you slide on that. I'll give you a bit of a break.
Yeah,
But
because if
see,
I commit to a date
I
now
know.
and I don't do it, you're gonna come after me and people are
I,
gonna be like, "Why didn't you launch it on September 1st or whatever?" So, let's just say it's coming soon, guys. I promise it's coming soon.
Excellent. Good answer, Sid, and well diverted away from that huge commitment because it's a big commitment. Look
Yeah.
right here. Like I've got two, you're going to have two. Like it's not something to blink at. You know, a lot of people think that a
Mhm.
podcaster, you turn up, turn on the microphone and hit record. What's the big deal? There is a lot to it, right? So
Oh,
that
yeah.
it's,
Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
And the planning, you know, you want to get your plan right. You want to turn up and give justice and, you know, serve the community that tune in well. So I appreciate that 100%. So I'm
Oh,
not going to
thank you.
lock you into a date because I know what that looks like. So that's super cool. But Sid, I do want to say that given that we're having this conversation, I expect to have a seat at your new podcast. So just know that
Absolutely.
I will hound you about that, if anything.
Absolutely. I would love to have you on the podcast. I have a list going. You're on that
Mm-hmm.
list. And, again, I'm being really strategic about what I'm doing and how I'm doing it because my first one, I didn't plan it.
Mm.
I just kind of did it. I mean, Kerry,
Mm-hmm.
I remember my first one. I would love to hear your story of when you started this podcast, right? And how you started. But my trailer episode that I did, I'm sitting at my laptop. I have Anchor pulled up, and I have no microphone. I'm talking into the computer mic. Oh, excuse me. I'm talking to my phone. I'm reading a script on my computer, right? And here, this is no lie. I have pillows all around me to help with the sound because okay, my office is not really good, conducive for podcasting. So I literally went and sold all the pillows in the house and stacked them up all around me so I didn't sound, like I was in a hole. So, and that was April the 1st, 2020 is when the very first episode lost. Come a long way since then, right? With fancy mics and all the other kind of stuff. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that, Sid. I love it so much. Thank you for sharing that. That's so cool. But Sid, we need to move along because we're running out of time. I would like to step into five
the
fun
10, the
facts. The
dreaded
10,
10.
five, five fun facts about Sid. So
Okay.
random questions. Random
Yes, ma'am.
questions,
Let's
right?
do it.
Yep. All right. So I've
Mhm.
got three, and I'm just going to pick a couple more. Let's just go with
See,
those
what I don't
two.
understand about this is that they're random. I can't seeing you randomly pick them out of the 10.
Just
Now I see.
I'm sorry, was that too low for the camera? I'm sorry, Sid.
Yeah, you're good. Just are they really random? But okay, let's go, Carrie. I'm ready.
Awesome, awesome. So, Sid, my first question for you is what challenge have you overcome? Now, we've talked a lot about your journey in this podcast, but this I just want one challenge that you've overcome. What would be the highlight for you?
That's such a good question. What challenge have I overcome? You know what, Carrie? The first thing that comes to my mind was the challenge and the obstacle of Clubhouse and understanding that platform and
Mm,
creating a strategy around that platform and really understanding how it is also a strategic business tool for my business. It's
mhm.
not a social platform and overcoming that challenge and understanding that and really how to leverage it because in the beginning it was like, what is this thing? What do you do with it?
Yeah,
Right? So, not really a challenge, but it was a challenge because it's brand new, right? And
yeah.
now you would classify me in the category of Clubhouse junkie. I'll say that very quietly so I don't get invited to support groups.
I think we need a support group because it's really bad. It's really bad. All right, moving right along. Sid, next question is, what keeps you up of a night time,
So
if
what keeps
anything?
me up at night? Yeah. What keeps me up at night? Random phone calls from friends from around the world wanting to have conversations keeps me up at night. No, what keeps me up at night is continuing to focus on the growth of my business and the scalability of my business. Like, how do you take a small business like mine that is predominantly service based and how do you scale it? Right.
Mm,
That's the thing that keeps me up at night. And it's not in a bad way. It keeps me up at
mm,
night in a good way because my brain's pinging with, oh, we could do this. Oh, we could do that. What about this pro? What about, and so I'm really trying to take those ideas and zone them into a pathway that helps the scale of our business.
mm. Good answer. And I like that it's exciting. I'm not surprised that it's exciting, by the way.
Carry out. I mean, but listen, our brains as entrepreneurs, they just sometimes don't stop. And we just like
Don't.
get so excited about the future, right?
I think I've shared with you, Sid, on another conversation. I will email myself if I wake up in
Yes.
the middle of the night with a thought, an idea, because otherwise the next morning it's gone. Poof, it's gone. I can't remember.
That's right. Where did it go?
Oh. Sid, if you had three wishes, what would you pick? Three wishes.
3 wishes. Business or personal?
Anything.
3 wishes. Um, oh, that's such a hard question. 3 wishes, what would I wish for? Um, so wish for the continued health and safety of my family. I would
Hmm.
always wish for the continued health and safety of my family. My daughter's off at college. My son is a junior in high school. I just would wish for that. The second thing that I would wish for was, um, can I be just like kind of um greedy, I guess? Can I be greedy
Yeah,
with it?
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I want a house at the beach. I'd wish for a house at the beach. I love the
Hmm.
beach. I would love to be able to say that my second office, or my office is at the beach where I can open the doors and listen to the waves because I get such
Oh,
peace and calm from that. So I really wish for a home at the beach, right? And
yeah.
then the third thing that I would wish for is community. The
Hmm.
continued growth of the community of podcasters, entrepreneurs, authors, coaches, speakers that I have found myself in. I would really wish for the growth of that and our ability to continue to impact each other's lives and each other's business. So, the
Hmm.
growth of our community, I would really wish for the growth of our community.
Yeah, and Sid, I'm going to tap onto that just before I head over to the next question because I am starting a program called Adopt an Aussie. So, as
You
part of
said,
your community building, I highly recommend. We need a website. We need to get all the socials happening. You and I could do this in tandem together. Like this could
yes,
be
we could.
a collaboration of Adopt an
I love
Aussie.
it.
I think this is going to happen. I'm
I
gonna.
like it. I like
Yeah.
it. Let's make
Yeah.
it work. Let's make it happen, Carrie. Let's do it.
Yep. That's it. Let's build the community across the ocean for sure, for sure. All right. The next
Absolutely.
next question is, do you prefer, well, you've just already answered this, but you might surprise me. Would you prefer a walk in the park or on the beach?
Oh, definitely on the beach.
Yeah.
Definitely on the beach, yep. It's
And
just something about the waves and the view of the beach and honestly, either not in the middle of the day, it would need to be sunrise or sunset,
mhm.
and I'm a morning person, so I love watching the sunrise while walking on the beach.
Yeah. And when was the last time you did this, Sid?
Um, Early July when I spent a week with my family vacationing at the beach. We
Mhm.
had a fabulous time in our favorite location, hopefully the city that we will or the area community that we will retire to, one day, and it was absolutely fantastic.
Oh, good stuff. All right, final question, and then you're out of the hot seat. Do you prefer trains, boats, planes, or none of the above? Being a previous frequent flyer, trains, boats, or
Yeah,
planes?
so, it's a really good question. Do I prefer?
Mm.
Okay. So I'm going to say I prefer, if I'm going somewhere, I would really prefer to go on a plane.
Mhm.
However, I'm not going to get on a plane 3 times a week or 4 times a week like I did before. I will never do that again. I will never be a road warrior again, where I would leave Dallas and go to Chicago, and from Chicago go to LA, and from LA go to Denver, and then come home in the same week. I'm not going to do that again, right?
No.
Um, but I also am going to add that to that. I know how to travel. I've lost all my statuses, which is
Mm.
just part of it, which is okay. I don't mind. Honestly, I don't mind. But Carrie, if at all possible, every time I'm flying up front.
Mhm.
Maybe I'm getting old, maybe I'm being snobby, whatever it is, I will pay the extra money within reason to sit in the front of the cabin rather than to sit in the back of the cabin. And that comes with 20 years of air travel and experience in air travel. I have the choice now to decide what I'm going to do, and I'm going to choose to sit in the front of the plane rather than the back of the plane.
Love it. Love it. That's your choice. That's a
It
great
is my
choice.
choice. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. So I don't want anybody to think that that's like me being snooty or snobby. It's just me making a choice
Yeah.
because I did travel for so long and it was so just like, I don't even know how to describe it. It was fun, but it was, and people think it's glamorous. It's not. I mean, living out of a suitcase and having 2 of everything is not fun, right? And
Yeah.
leaving on a Sunday and coming home on a Saturday, it's not fun. And
Mm-mm.
now that I do it with my clients and very selectively do it with my clients, I'm going to travel the way that I want to travel because it's my dime.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
there you
I
have it.
love that. I love that, Sid. That's a good one. And Sid, we need to wrap up, but before we do, where can we find you? Where's the best place to find Sid?
The best place to find me is on LinkedIn. You can find me at Sid Meadows. I'm there. It's really easy. There aren't many of us. Please search for me. If you do connect with me, send me a note and let me know. Click that add note button and let me know that you heard me on BizNation. I'd love to know that I'm getting reach from Kerry and all of her support in the podcast. But LinkedIn's the best play. I'm also a best place. You can also find me on Instagram if you are an Instagrammer. Though I'm not really great at Instagram, you can find me there at Coach Sid Meadows. So thank you, Kerry, for having me today.
Oh, Sid, it's been my pleasure. Thank you so much for this conversation and taking us on your journey. I think what we've really honed in today for the listeners is, there's so many people in the world, entrepreneurs, business owners, those that are still employees in their job that have fantastic stories that we can learn from. And I've just
Yes.
enjoyed this conversation so much. So I appreciate you being here, Sid, and really appreciate your time today. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Kerry, very much.
Thank you for tuning in to the BizNation podcast. It was lovely to share this episode with you. Remember to subscribe to catch all future episodes, and I would also very much love it if you'd leave me a rating or a review. Until next time, remember that you can also go from headache to heaven in a heartbeat.